today's column, I'm discussing how social media can be a literal Wild West. Stalking, trolling, catfishing, cancel culture, misinformation, harassment, abuse, and the list goes on. Social media can be a daunting, depressing, and sometimes dangerous place to navigate. So, who is doing what to protect users, and whose responsibility is it? Is it the singular responsibility of the social networks? Is it the role of law enforcement agencies to step in? What about legislators and policymakers in terms of regulations? Or is it up to us as social media users to wholly take personal responsibility? In my view, I believe it is all of them and it is all of us. When I wrote the e-learning course Young Minds Online 7 years ago with my daughter Sophie, who was then a teenager, it was aimed at teaching digital citizenship, the safe and savvy and ethical use of the internet to teens and tweens. But I now find myself writing e-learning courses for adults and public sector marketing professionals and how they can protect themselves and their staff online and how they can engage appropriately and also in a two-way conversation with their users. The reality is that social media is moving faster than we can even spell legislation. It is also the case that, unfortunately, legislators, policymakers, and law enforcement agencies aren't always up to speed with the social media landscape, the features, the functionalities, and how it can be used and indeed abused to intimidate, extort, expose, or indeed exert pressure. And when we think about Mark Zuckerberg and his vision for Facebook when he set it up all those years ago, he wanted us to connect and share with the people in our lives. But of course, there's always going to be bad actors online. And very often people will exploit any opportunity or gap that they see in the online world. And so the reality is that we all have to take personal responsibility to block, to mute, to report those bad actors if you are feeling threatened, trolled, or indeed abused. The same goes for public sector marketing pros. And there's always this conversation that we have, what is the role of government agencies when it comes to muting, blocking, or reporting? Surely they are there in the public interest, and maybe we shouldn't be muting what the public have to say. So this is where it's really important to have clear lines of engagement when it comes to social. So social media use and moderating social media use, I believe, is one of the biggest challenges of our time. And it's incumbent on the legislators, the law enforcement agencies, the social networks, and all of us to step in and try and be part of that solution.